The Sunken World. The sea was calm, eastern wind was blowing. The water temperature was just 4 degrees Celsius. It was cold, therefore rather clear. The inclement and ever-changing sea made us wait patiently for this day. Even after setting off on a sail, you could only guess the success of the planned expedition, when we will be looking for a shipwreck of the freighter Neringa, belonging to a Klaipėda company. The freighter shipwrecked in between the two wars. In 1938, the details of the shipwreck were published in the press and called mystical. The Lithuanian pre-coastal waters keep many secrets, and to reveal them, the human wish and will is not always sufficient. The expedition team is in high spirits. For them, this is not the first voyage of this kind. This time, they are equipped with the gear for shipwreck search. The steamer Neringa shipwrecked between Smiltynė and Juodkrantė. It was the first voyage for the shipmaster, and it ended his career, whereas the other one, who rescued the crew, was awarded a medal. Will we be lucky to find the shipwreck of Neringa and learn more about what happened nearly 70 years ago? We will try to spot it with a sonic depth finder. Then we go to the spot according to the coordinates and go down. And while Puta circles around, we get it on the sonic depth finder, drop the second buoy, and you dive. The success of the expedition depends on the preparation, which is long and hard work. Firstly, the goal of the expedition has to be properly formulated. Then you have to decide who could cope with the tasks, what kind of people and equipment are needed, as this usually cannot be fulfilled solo. The discovery is to find what we are searching for. Otherwise, we make sure that it is not in the area of exploration.
Arba mes tikrai įsitikinsim, kad būtent šitoj vietoj tikrai nieko nėra.
There are some shipwreck-prone places by the Baltic coast. One of them is by the Dutch Cap. The glacier which covered the territory by the Lithuanian coast of the Baltic Sea 10 to 15,000 years ago, while retreating, formed a moraine plateau with a crest which was 24 meters above the sea level and was called the Dutch Cap. People say that in ancient times local robbers used to make bonfires there to attract passing-by ships, which were looking for secure shelter. The fire, like a loud house, invited to a safe coast, but the visitors found death when they shipwrecked on the boulders in the dark. The Christian world was fighting against the custom of the locals to appropriate the cargo and belongings of the wrecked ships. In the inventory statute of Palanga village, it was said, the locals living by the sea coast are obliged to watch the coast and, seeing an accident, have to report to the estate, and those who witness the accident have to save people and their belongings. Any robbery or killing of the seamen and hiding of any things gathered on the coast will be punished by death. Ships went wrecked in the past as well as they do nowadays for a great variety of reasons.
O jų skendimo priežastys būna įvairios.
Ships most frequently wrecked by the coast, close to the port. Navigation there is very intensive and entering the port has always been complicated. In the old times, it used to be very difficult to go through the port gates during a storm. Ships usually were standing in the outer roads till the storm calmed down. That waiting meant casting an anchor and lying on it. The boats were sailing boats. They were keeping against the wind, but if one anchor was broken away, the second followed, and so the lethal end was inevitable. There are many of such shipwrecks near our coast. In fact, the coast of Lithuania is good from the point of view that ships often got stuck on the shallow seabed and sand, therefore, the crew often managed to escape from the ship and survive when the sea calmed down.
Gana dažnai pavykdavo išsigelbėti įgulą iš tokių laivų, kartais ir pavykdavo paskui, kai jūra nurimdavo ir krovinį iškrauti, ištraukti.
Another and perhaps the most important reason of shipwreck was inexperience of shipmasters. Sudden storms were unpredictable. In 1518, a hurricane suddenly broke out and 14 ships sank in 2 days in the area from Piluva to Liepāja. We have got data about shipwrecks of that period near Klaipėda. We know of some of such hurricanes in the 18th century. There are other reasons too, such as wars, during which ships came and blocked the ports. The usual practice was to capture an enemy ship on the sea, tug it to the port and rob the cargo. Some of such ships were sunk. Pirating in the Baltic Sea and by the Lithuanian coast was known in the 18th century. In the beginning of the 16th century, a pirate from Gotland, Norby, was keen on Klaipėda, and the last commendator of Klaipėda was his friend. So they both were acting together, and, having in mind that this happened during a war, the plunder used to be quite good. Neringa, the ship belonging to the Klaipėda company Sandėlis, shipwrecked on the 28th of February 1938 between Smiltynė and Juodkrantė. No one has found the remains of the ship so far, but no one has ever tried to search for them. It is known that the wind at the time was southwest. It was changing and gusty, and about wind force 7. The location of the shipwreck of the Neringa, recorded in historical sources, is just approximate, about 7 miles north from the Klaipėda port. The Neringa shipwrecked at a distance of 600 meters from the coast. The coordinates are not precise. The search may be long. Great areas of the sea will have to be searched through. The shipwreck number 1 in the Lithuanian register of sunk and wrecked ships happened close to Šventoji. The wooden remains were found 3 meters deep, about 250 meters from the seacoast. The fishermen from Šventoji and Kunigiškiai say that the construction of the Būtingė church was related to the shipwreck of an ancient ship which ran aground. The Būtingė church was built at the beginning of the 19th century. There are some legends explaining why the church was built in that particular place. The most beautiful one says that the captain and his ship were caught in a storm, and seeing that the sinking was inevitable, he prayed to God, promising to build a church if he survives.
Pasižadėjo Dievui, jeigu aš išsigelbėjau, suprantate, aš toj vietoj pastatau bažnyčią.
The Būtingė Lutheran Church was built in 1824 by the road from Šventoji to Liepāja. As in many European churches of seamen and fishermen, a model of an ancient sailing boat is placed there. Stories about drowned men are passed from one person to another and become legends, while search for historical facts and their analysis is thorough everyday work for scholars, based on special methods. The ship registered as number 1 in the ship register ran aground and 4 people drowned. The scholars performed dendrochronological analysis and, according to the age of the timber, established the age of the boat. We dendrochronologists study annual rings of trees. The assessment of the rings indicated the age. Therefore, the result is very good. The situation of the beginning of the 18th century was very interesting. The timber trade was very intensive. The ship, which was registered in Klaipėda, could have been built in Scotland. The dendrologists managed to prove that part of timber used for ship and house construction came from our region. It was a good region, grown up with woods. The resources of good timber in Europe in the 18th century were exhausted. Old timber has got narrow rings, which makes it more resistant to the environment.
Tai buvo geras regionas, apaugęs miškais. Greičiausiai 18 amžiuje vakarų Europoje medienos ištekliai geros senos medienos buvo išsekę. Senos medienos rėvės yra plonos ir šita mediena yra žymiai atsparesnė aplinkai.
The boat found near Šventoji was built in 1698, presumably in Gdansk. Historical sources state that this Polish Navy boat was coming to investigate the possibilities of the reconstruction of the Samogition port. By the way, it was the first boat which was discovered by the specialists of the Maritime Museum 30 years ago. This was the beginning of the shipwreck search in Lithuania. Up to that time, sunk ships and shipwrecks were interesting only to fishermen, enthusiasts and amateurs. I was fascinated by strange things. I have 2 simple black wooden things in my hands. This is unique heritage. They were made by humans and washed out by the sea. This is oak, and these are fragments from old sunk ships which stayed there for 200 years, where the oaks were growing about 1,000 years ago. All pieces I found fascinate by human touch. Nails, drilled holes, spigots with nice decorations or ornaments. This is a knife blade and this is a former fisherman anchor. It is hard to say, but the anchor was perhaps smithed. Could be from 18th to 20th centuries. There are certain places where people usually find something. In Klaipėda vicinity it is by Karklė and Giruliai. Closer to Palanga, it is by Nemirseta. Each storm washes out something, mainly wooden fragments of boats. People value the findings in different ways. Some admire them, make up various stories. Others are rather pragmatic and use some 100-year-old pieces of wooden boats as firewood or for various everyday functions. Some pieces of shipwrecks find their way to museums. Klaipėda Maritime Museum has got a big collection of anchors. It is constantly enriched by the help of fishermen and seamen, who often lift some pieces of shipwrecks or anchors with their nets. The age of an anchor can be estimated according to the form of the stock and the blade. They help to distinguish the workshop, the style, even the country of origin. Major forms of anchors of old sailboats are similar and differ only in details. Later, when steamships appeared, the variety of anchors appeared too, depending on size and purpose of the boat. There were about 200 anchor construction types.
Priklausomai nuo laivo dydžio, priklausomai nuo laivo paskirties, atitinkamai naudoti ir skirtingi inkarai. Sukurta bent daugiau kaip turbūt 200 ar 300 įvairiausių konstrukcijų šiuolaikinių inkarų.
Įvairiausios legendos, žmonių
Scholars are
pasakojimai,
interested in
žvejų
various
mėgėjų
legends,
surinkti daiktai
stories,
iš jūros
objects from the
gelmių
deep sea
domina ir
collected by
mokslininkus.
fishermen and amateurs.
Senovės yra visur. Ir šita senovė, kuri
History is everywhere.
po vandeniu
History which is under the water is little seen by anyone or not seen at all. Each archaeologist, even if he does not admit it to others, fancies discovering something what has not been seen by anyone else. I am an archaeologist who is excavating in the ground too, so I am like an amphibian. I grew up in Palanga, where swimming and diving in the sea is a hobby of nearly every child. Sometimes this stays a hobby and sometimes it ceases.
Beveik kiekvieno galbūt vaiko pomėgis, paskui jis praeina, kartais lieka.
Sistemingas mokslinis darbas
Methodical
povandeninės
scientific
archeologijos
research in
srityje
underwater
prasidėjo prieš
archaeology
5 metus
was started at
Klaipėdos
Klaipėda
universitete.
University 5 years ago.
Jeigu 2002 metais mes priskaičiavom maždaug 70 vietų,
In 2002, there were 70 places of shipwreck registered, and at present there are just 40. It happened so that we had a possibility to work together with Swedish ships, which have special equipment for this kind of investigation, while using other methods such as diving in the spots indicated by fishermen in the charts. The places of shipwreck could be marked incorrectly. So now we have the coordinates of 40 ships, sunk or wrecked in the pre-coast area. 4 settlements, relicts of Šventoji and Klaipėda port quays, and old coastline which sank thousands of years ago.
Ir taip pat yra 4 vietos, kurias mes vadinam gyvenvietėmis, pradedant Šventosios gyvenvietę, Klaipėdos uoste esančiais senųjų krantinių reliktais ir baigiant senaisiais krantais, kurie ten jau nuskendo prieš 1000 metų.
I cannot see anything. In the sea the visibility is better. It is the first time I have been diving in a river. One more thing, there is no current, and what is strange, the water is brown, brick brown. You can see at the length of your arm and no more. In the 16th century, Šventoji port started growing and became stronger. Though today you can hardly find anyone who could tell about its history, as all the traces of it are deep under sand or water. In 1680, a trade privilege was given by the Lithuanian sovereign to the locals and the English. The English not only started trade in Šventoji, but they also settled down there. As settlers, they were exempt from taxes to the state and the sovereign for 6 years. When the port was being founded, it was planned to dredge the riverbed, to dig canals and build the infrastructure. At that time, the sea trade was very important to the state of Lithuania, as Klaipėda did not belong to the country. So many privileges were given to the activities here. We have excavated a building, rather big for that historical period. It was a timber construction with a stove, of an interesting plan with household pits. We found a lot of artifacts, about 30 Lithuanian, Prussian, Dutch coins. In fact, there were coins from all over Europe. There was found high-quality Bohemian glass, We do not have such in Klaipėda. It was imported, rich materials which were not typical of such small towns as Šventoji.
Buvo importo, buvo gana turtinga medžiaga, kuri šiaip jau nebūdinga tokiem miesteliams 17 amžiui kaip tarkim Šventoji.
Šventosios uostas pradėtas
The reconstruction of Šventoji port was started, but it has never been finished. The new settlement was not built, except for a small block of English merchants by the Šventoji river bends. In the 18th century, Šventoji port became a strong competitor to other ports on the Baltic Sea. But as there was no support inside the settlement, the situation was changing.
Lenkijos, Lietuvos rūmų intrigos iš esmės sužlugdė Šventąją.
The intrigues of the Polish-Lithuanian court ruined Šventoji. Historical sources state that this was the influence of French diplomats, who did not appreciate the presence of English there. An idea was spread that English were no good in that location. There were incidents concerning their property. They were robbed, their property was alienated, and the conditions were made such that English had to move out. At the end of the 17th century, they abandoned the place, and Riga persuaded Swedes to fill the mouth of the river with stones.
Švedai, kurie Rygos įkalbėti, atplaukė čia ir užpylė akmenimis Šventosios žiotis, uosto žiotis.
The team set off on the expedition by a Klaipėda University boat, equipped with a sonic depth finder, locator and navigation system. Clyde, follow me. What is the visibility? 6-7 meters.
Tai tu užeisi, praeisi taip maždaug per trejetą, kiek matomumo? 6 metrai, 5? 7.
The freighter Neringa became famous when her first voyage to the port of Klaipėda was unsuccessful. For the master of the ship, a Latvian Bertinš, it was the first voyage too, and the accident happened due to his inexperience. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison. The press wrote that the circumstances of the accident were rather mystical. Now the scholars presume that the ship could have run on a sunk sailboat. Will we be able to find the location where 2 boats have sunk? Well, it is too early for a positive answer. The visibility is about 0. Light lamps have gone out and the camera is not working. We had a chance to work on the research ship of Stockholm Royal Technological Institute Altair, and later on another Swedish hydrographic ship, Nilström Krona. These are ships specializing in shipwreck search. We spotted the first shipwrecks, adjusted the coordinates of the sunk ships, which had been erroneously marked on charts by others. After that, we saw what they look like on the screen of a video camera that was on the boat, dived to the ships for the first time. The 2 years proved that we have got limited possibilities to search for shipwrecks in the Lithuanian pre-coastal area without special equipment. Klaipėda played an important role in navigation by the western coast of the Baltic Sea. Till the second half of the 17th century, Klaipėda Strait was the only convenient entrance and port from Aistmariai Strait till Piluva near Ventspils. Till the 18th century, the mouth of the river Danė near the castle could hold the port, but later ships with bigger draft and cargo could not enter it, as the riverbed was filled up with sand and was full of stones. The scholars suppose that at the pit of the Curonian Spit, in Kopgalis, starting with the 16th century, mooring places for ships and quays were built. In 1801, the hydrotechnical equipment was washed away, and later a new pier was built.
2002 metais
In 2002, archaeologists were investigating the constructions of the old piers and discovered that in Kopgalis, among the poles of the pier, there were remains of old ships, which had been used as ballast to enforce the pier. The wooden constructions dated back to 1745, while the remains of the ship date 1748. Pine wood was used for the Kopgalis enforcement as well as for ship. This wood has correlated with the Western Lithuanian as well as with Polish pine. Statistical data clearly indicates that local wood was used for the construction in Kopgalis. In all ports there was old port equipment, and in the location of the present port there are traces of the previous one. There are remains of the 18th century, such as reinforcements of the quay, a former pier. This is a rare and valuable thing. In many places which are being developed more intensively, such things have not survived, and they are found in the ground while performing groundwork. Here such objects are partly above the water level, partly under the water. That's the relict. I'm not so sure how to preserve it. We will not see the quay or old ships. We can only admire them in historical sources and pictures. In 18th and 19th centuries, when the Baltic Sea was full of sailing boats, barks, brigs and schooners, the owners kept to the tradition to perpetuate them. Though very few of such pictures survived, one of such rarities is kept in Klaipėda at the History Museum of Lithuania Minor. During the sailing boat era in the 19th century, there was a tradition to perpetuate a boat for which the master, the owner, or sometimes even the builder of a ship, ordered a picture of the ship to be painted. There are only a few of such pictures concerning Klaipėda. The situation is unique, as we have got such a picture, another one in Šilutė, and one more is at Bremenhaven Museum of Seafaring in Germany.
O trečias paveikslas kabo Vokietijoje laivybos muziejuje Bremerhaveno mieste.
A bark Ceres, built in Klaipėda in 1825, shipwrecked by the coasts of Denmark. The owner ordered a new bark, which was built and launched the same year and under the same name. In the 19th century, it was very popular to name ships by antique names. Ceres means goddess. We do not know what Neringa looked like exactly. In 1938, the newspapers had only pictures of the shipwrecked boat. It is known that it was built in 1904 in the Horn Shipbuilding Company in Schleswig and called Frida Horn. A year later, the owner of the ship and the name changed. Then it was registered in Odessa, Malta, Istanbul. For 7 times, the name and port of registration of this ship have been changed. If we knew the way it looked like and the circumstances of the shipwreck, it would be easier to identify the remains of the ship. Nowadays in Lithuania, sailing boats are built only as an exception. A ship under construction reminds of a decaying ship. The building of a ship starts upwards, starting with a keel, then goes frame, all the framework, the deck, some superstructure and masts. When a boat shipwrecks, it is taken apart by waves and water in the reverse order. First of all, the masts go down, then the deck is broken away. A ship which has remained under the water for 200–300 years reminds of a ship which is being born. The underwater archaeologists who are interested in ancient ships hope to find more than one sailing boat near Klaipėda. The story of the Guardian, one of the known shipwrecked boats, is one of the most remarkable. It took the ground in 1804. 53 people died in the salvage. It is unbelievably many for that time.
On the
31st of January, a special aid action was organized, in which 57 people took part. They managed to pull the ship from the ground, and there were just some 100 meters left to tug it to the port, but then suddenly a storm broke out. The salvation action was interrupted, and the ship sunk together with 53 people. For that time, it was an exceptional disaster, as the number of the drowned was unusually high. There are copies of the documents from Germany, even the lists of people who died, including the master, one of the owners of the ship, Peter Schroeder, and seamen of many nationalities: English, Dutch, workmen from Klaipėda, some fishermen from Karklininkai and Palanga who were recruited for this action.
Darbininkai Klaipėdos, taip pat 14 žvejų iš Karklininkų, Palangos pajūrio, kurie tiesiog buvo nusisamdę šitai akcijai.
Navigation has always been a dangerous occupation. Hundreds of ships and thousands of seamen sank annually. The coast of the sea was covered in ship fractions. Only at the end of the 18th century attention was paid to the salvation of seamen and ships. There had been no passenger ships till the beginning of the 19th century, when first passenger routes appeared between Europe and America, and along the European coasts. Passenger ships sunk with great number of people on board, and this used to become widely known. At the end of the 18th century, an idea was born to found rescue stations on the coast. The first station of the kind in Prussia was founded in Klaipėda. Memel was the first port which bought a salvager in England, made by Heinrich Greither. It was a sinking-proof boat with watertight cavities at the ends, lined with cork, which would not sink even if it turned over. Since the end of the 19th and middle of the 20th century, on the coastline of Lithuania, rescue stations were founded in Nida, Juodkrantė, Klaipėda, Kopgalis, Melnragė, Karklė and Nemirseta. The team of a station consisted of 2 senior and 20 private rescuers from local fishermen. Those were volunteers who helped people in emergencies without any remuneration, though sometimes they were awarded some bonuses. Till 1945, those teams rescued about 300 people. The only rescue station which survived in the former Eastern Prussia is in Nemirseta, though it is neglected and abandoned now. Freighter Neringa became known for its salvage operation. Juodkrantė rescue station noticed the distress signal only in the morning of the 1st of March. The first attempts to rescue the crew failed. The operation was continued the following day. The captain of the rescue station was leading the salvage boat, which with a crew of 9 fishermen managed to reach the ship struck by disaster. Only after 8 attempts they managed to take the crew of the ship on board and bring them to coast, just in time as the strength of the wind reached force 9. Juodkrantė rescue team was awarded bonuses for the most dangerous and successful salvage, and the chief of the station was awarded a medal of Prince Heinrich. Tourist diving is not popular in the Baltic Sea. The weather is not suitable for this nearly 300 days a year, due to fog, cold, bad visibility, high sea. Nevertheless, despite of the bad environmental conditions, the underwater world intrigues. At some extent, it is even more interesting than in other seas, where diving industry is flourishing. Routes for tourists are very simple, everything is known to a detail, and a diver is not an explorer. Here we experience the thrill of discovery every time. No doubt, big and sound ships are more interesting for us. You can recognize and understand where you are going to, what kind of ship it is. If you see military ammunition, it's better for a diver or a visitor to be able to see what it is. Perhaps the ships of World War II are not attractive for the archaeologists, and they are not of great value for them, but they are the most important for tourism development.
At
the bottom of the Baltic Sea lie not only ships wrecked by storms, but also the ones bombed during the war. Fusilier is a German ship which was transporting refugees and the wounded to Klaipėda port. On the 19th of November 1944, it left Pilau in the present territory of Kaliningrad region for Klaipėda. It carried the crew of 60 people, soldiers going on a leave, civil people, including citizens of Klaipėda, and 2 women. The ship was accompanied by a navy ship. Nobody could predict the calamity. The next morning it became clear that the ship had already passed Klaipėda. 2 shots thundered in the morning twilight. The ship was hit by Russian shells. It was a dreadful disaster, an immoral case. The war is always immoral, there are no moral wars. I was touched by this, as it happened at the very end of the war. This ship was one of many war victims. This was not the first ship which was sunk with refugees, soldiers, the wounded who were transported to Germany, and moreover, it was a German ship. In a Russian report of November 1944, it was shortly mentioned that a German transport ship was sunk. At the same time, fierce battles were taking place on the coastline, and the Soviet army was operating in the approaches of Klaipėda. The city was defended by German troops. Leader of a group, Gisair, describes his experiences in the Battle of Klaipėda. Despite the destruction and fires, numerous Russian air raids, roaring of the artillery, life in Memel was going on. There were thousands of refugees who were waiting to be evacuated by sea. People were ordered to stay calm and keep order. Overloaded boats left the port day and night. The refugees on the pier became a target for Russian pilots. The bombs were exploding in the crowd. People were screaming but went on waiting for the next ship. The officials tried to calm down the crowd, but the words lost any sense. We were overtaken by the emotions which came from reading and were refreshed when we got under the water. The images we were dreamt came from reading, and on the other hand, the ship was very damaged, and on the whole, the ships sunk during the war do not remind of the sailing ships with nice white chimneys. They are just metal scrap, and it is hard to distinguish what is what, whether it is a bow or another part of a ship. Fusilier was found in the position which allows restoring the circumstances of its wreck. The first Russian shell hit the engine department. When the ammunition exploded, the anchor fell off and the ship stopped. 3 lifeboats were launched. The first one tried to sail against the wind and headed for Klaipėda. The second one wanted to escape artillery attack and turned to the open sea. The rest of the crew went on the life rafts, but were shot by cannons and the planes. The second boat, despite 8 attacks, reached the southern pier of Liepāja port. 9 people drowned while trying to find a safe place for landing. All in all, 280 people died in this accident, and only 13 managed to survive. We could not find anything that could belong to people. Everything seemed empty. Only during some later dives we entered other parts of the ship where the bathrooms were, and only then we saw guns, shoes, belts. No bodies, no clothing items. But anyway, the things we found indicated that many people died there. We always inform people about the importance of these things. It is essential that others could see them, and for us it is more interesting. The guns or other things would not be that important in somebody's garage. They belong there. People are diving because they can see something there. Keep an eye on the level of the air all the time. Another thing, do not go inside. It is not for this dive. You should do what you are supposed to do. If you accidentally find a stump, mark the place. You will not be able to mark it with this. Wait for Artūras. Do not dive alone. If you find something, send the boy. If you get under stones and if the bottom is of sand, poke among the stones. There could be a rock. It would be fantastic.
Žiūrėk tarp akmenų. Čia kažkur ta didžiulė uola gali būti. Jeigu aptiktume, tai būtų fantastiška.
Taip, pasiruošei?
Ready?
Tai gerai, tada į vandenį.
All right, go into water to the anchor. For amateur divers, the most important thing is not to pick explosive either with fingers or with a knife. It is not advisable. I am not fascinated. I do not fancy sunk ships. It is like cemetery. Tragedy happened there. I have spent many years on the sea, sailed, lived in ships, and it is very painful to see a sunken ship for me.
Baltijos jūroje po sąnašų sluoksnių yra
In the
atsidūrę
Baltic
dideli
Sea,
žemės
below a
plotai,
layer
kur
of
akmens
alluvial
ir bronzos
deposits, there are
amžiais
big
gyveno
territories
žmonės.
that were inhabited by people in the Stone and Bronze Ages. In the summer of 2002, in the depth of 27 meters, some 3 kilometers from the coast, remains of a forest were found. Stumps of pines which were growing by the Joldija Sea 11,000 years ago. At that time, the territory was inhabited by people of a Mesolithic culture. Through the sonar, we noticed a strange outline, which looked like a ship. We thought it was an ancient boat. When we dived 27 meters down, we found a trawl on a sandy bed. It was broken away. Going along the trawl, we saw that it got stuck on a stump. It was unbelievable. We saw a pole sticking from the seabed. The first thought was to move it, but we could not do it, as it had strong roots in the loam. The seabed is covered with a thin layer of sand, but it is mainly clay and some boulders not far away. The trawl caught the stump and broke away. We cut a root from the stump and got it dated with the help of Lithuanian geologists. It is an interesting date. It reaches back as far as 1890 BC. 11,000 or perhaps nearly 12,000 years ago, 4 kilometers from the present coastline, pines were growing. Being an archaeologist, I had a wish to find traces of people by that boulder.
Man kaip archeologui, žinoma, pirmiausia norėjau šalia to didžiulio akmens ir tame miške buvusiam aptikti kažkokius žmogaus pėdsakus.
Earlier,
the Curonian part of Šventoji, once famous but nowadays known only to the few of Lithuanians, was washed away by the waves of the sea and buried under the dunes, together with churches and houses of rich people. In 1637, an unexpected tempest destroyed the church, demolished other houses of the town, and washed away the cape by the river. Since the 17th century, the sand, driven by the wind, started attacking the eastern part of the town. In 100 years, the roads and yards were covered by a layer of 30 centimeters thick, and in some places 1 meter high dunes were formed. Farmsteads of the western part of the town fell into decay, and the remains were swallowed by the sea. One more sinking world, which we can observe today, is Karklė. Its historical cemetery is being washed away by the sea, and soon it may become an object of underwater archaeology. All over the world, the underwater archaeology is a new science, as it emerged and started developing in the 60s of the 20th century, when the aqualung was invented. It is a completely new field in Lithuania. It has been developed for 2 decades only and has got good prospects. I do not regard myself a professional. It is not my job so far, but maybe in future it will be. During the last day of the expedition, the researchers were going by a hydrographic boat Varuna, which besides the usual navigation equipment has got side sonar. This boat searches the seabed, trying to find obstacles for navigation. It is the frame of a plane. You can see these dashes. It is already naked without the canvas. The wingspan there is about 23 meters. We were surveying the place according to the preliminary coordinates. Absolutely unknown. The unknown freighter was found accidentally. When the sonar indicated an unknown object, the hearts of the members of the expedition started beating faster. Could that be the remains of Neringa? Modern means of investigation of the deep sea helped to find unknown shipwrecks of the boats which sunk at different periods of time and other objects, though they are not always recognized. It was estimated that the object found was not Neringa. The detected ship was 100 meters long and 14 meters high. The scholars presume that it could be a German transport ship, which had a similar fate to Fusilier, which was sunk during the war. Its history was not decoded, and it is waiting for its discoverers. The results of the expedition can be unpredictable, even if well prepared and having a well-formulated goal. The search for Neringa, after a long reconnaissance and tries to survey the secrets of the sunken world, enabled to reveal one more secret of underwater archaeology. If we are speaking about the search for Neringa, so in 1938 in Klaipėda there were some 3 cars, and the accuracy of 2-3 kilometers was not that important, as the distance itself was insignificant. If you ask a citizen of Klaipėda now how far it is to Juodkrantė, one will say it is 19, another maybe 21 kilometers, though nobody will indicate the starting point. Some sailor maybe said it was 7 nautical miles from Klaipėda, and a person not related to the sea could say it was 14.5 kilometers. But where from? Maybe from Smiltynė. The search area is increasing. In this case, we have got a very good result. We know for sure where Neringa is not. This narrows the search area, as it may be a little to the north or to the south. Some raids to the sea and we'll find it. Nothing disappears without traces. It has to be there. Look at it, it's so beautiful. Now let it go.